have any questions before oops, I started?
No. Are you going to ask me questions?
Yes, I will. I will ask you questions. You'll follow
Okay.
me. Okay, I accidentally started the recording, so this is Mike, and I'm here with Serena, and we're going to be going through creating how she's going to create a product, and she'll be working with Alex Gould on this. And if you were following along on one of my acceleration webinars, you actually got to meet Serena and Alex live, and that's how this all came together. Alex and I wound up talking about a certain disease. I'm going to pull up the keyword research for it right here. It's called fibromyalgia. I don't know if I'm saying it perfectly correctly, but that's pretty close. And it affects a lot of people. As you can see, I pulled up the keyword search for it right now, fibromyalgia. It affects, obviously, hundreds of thousands of people because 368,000 people per month are typing in fibromyalgia into the real Google search engines and looking for answers. And yet, when they do go looking for answers, they're winding up with results like this in Google right now. I'll show you. And basically, these really aren't great results that are going to really help somebody recover and live a normal and wonderful life. You'll get some idea by searching Google. For example, there's a little short description here. There's a Mayo Clinic example here, Wikipedia, a couple of news items, WebMD, and so on. But the problem with all this stuff is generally what they're going to tell you is a few vague ideas about it. Some of those ideas might even be wrong. And then they're going to tell you to go see a doctor, which unfortunately, obviously is not working for people. You wouldn't have that many people searching for this issue if they were just able to easily treat it. Now, Serena turns out to be quite an expert in this. And what we found out during our webinar with Serena and Alex was that, well, it was actually a webinar with Alex, but then Serena chimed in and said that she's quite an expert with this. She's really helped her daughter. She has a wonderful expertise, and she's actually been able to impact my life because my wife suffers from the same thing. And so, and I'll get into that, but she's actually helped us, which has been tremendous, okay? So we're going to get into all of that as things go along. But what I want to do is take this as an opportunity to explain to Serena how to create a product. And while I'm explaining this to her, we are actually going to create a fast start guide for the product that she'll be working on Alex with. And this is great for you for a couple of reasons. One is because you're going to get to see product creation happening, which is happening right now. Two is that they're actually going to bring this product to market, probably in the ClickBank marketplace, and you can become an affiliate for it if you like. I recommend that you do. You can see that there's lots and lots and lots of interest on the real Google search engines. Just hundreds of thousands of searches and lots and lots and lots of different keyword combinations. Symptoms of fibromyalgia in women, that's 1,000 searches. Define fibromyalgia, that's 1,000 searches right there. Tons and tons of smaller searches. Symptoms fibromyalgia, 720, and that's just the first page. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of keywords out there. People are looking for answers, and they're looking for answers that are not just consult your physician. Because if you consult a physician, as you're going to find out, there's basically one drug that they can prescribe, which is called Lyrica, and it can have some good effects, but it's typically very often not enough. And Serena will explain that. Now, neither Serena nor I are doctors, so we're not going to get caught up in any of this, medical mumbo jumbo. We'll explain in the product that we're not doctors, that this isn't medical advice, and certainly folks should feel free to go ahead and consult a doctor. But this is what Serena has done. She has helped a lot of people with this, and including her daughter, and she has wonderful information that can really help people. So Serena, thank you so much for doing this with me. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. And we're recording this in GoToWebinar. In the future, Serena, when you're doing your recordings, you may want to just do them in Camtasia, which I pointed you to. You can get a free 30-day trial of. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, I design millions of dollars worth of products in Camtasia alone, or just with Camtasia and simple simple cameras, so it's often plenty, it's often everything that you need. Okay, now, when it comes to product creation, this isn't quite, like if David Mills were creating a product on product creation, or giving us a module on product creation, it would really be better than this, a lot better than this. However, what I'm going to give you is going to be excellent. It's from my experience, and it draws from David's wisdom, and this will really get you started wonderfully. So we're going to follow four basic principles here in product creation, and then this is our outline for essentially 4 video segments that Serena and I are going to be recording. So that's the 2 packets of information. This is how we're going to create the product, and this is the product that we're going to create, the kind of simple outline of the product. Now, I created this outline to make things simple. Serena will be able to expand upon it wonderfully, and of course, she'll be able to create a much better product on Fibro than I could, but this is going to get her and Alex off to a wonderful start and get them in the right direction. Now, when it comes to product creation, there's 4 things I want you to keep in mind. The first is how to organize it, which is using David Mills' law of implication for perspectives idea. So this is an idea from the law of implication. It's a strategy. And what we do is we organize things into 4 perspectives, which is actually what I've done. This is quite a holographic training here, because as we're creating the actual training, I'm using the training that I'm giving you to create the product, but both to create an OMG product where I'm helping you understand about product creation, and to help Serena and Alex create their Fibro product. So it's quite holographic. And the way I'm organizing everything is something that David Mills invented called the 4 perspectives. And the 4 perspectives are, number 1, top down, or overview. Number 2, heart of the matter, or crossing off dead ends. Number 3, step by step, starting from square 1. And number 4, examples, or reverse engineering. Okay, so these are the 4 perspectives. This is how I organize things. The overview, okay? So the main overview that you need when it comes to product creation is that we're going to use the 4 perspectives. I believe that to help people have success with Fibro, the first thing they need to know is, what is it and what are the symptoms? That's going to give them an overview. Serena, I don't want to put you on the spot, but does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great. Now, the second part of the 4 perspectives is, what's the heart of the matter? What's the most important thing? Or, similarly, how can we cross off obvious dead ends? So, for example, if we were looking at a maze, we might begin by taking an overview. A maze, as in, I'll pull up a picture of a maze, as in sort of an idea game that people play where you have like a little bit of a map, a maze like this, right? I'll go to images here. So this is a maze. This is a maze, okay? And what I would do to solve this maze, sorry, I'm not really getting a really great picture of this here. Maybe I can just do it this way. So if I were to look at this maze, I would take an overview of the maze and just get an idea of what's going on with it. Just really understand the basic features and what's going on of it. Okay, it's kind of a square. I might note the beginning point and the end point. Looks like the beginning's here, the end is here, and just real basics of it, okay? The second step is, if I was doing this with pen and paper, would be to cross off dead ends, because that's where we're going to waste most of our time. So I noticed right here that this is a dead end, and I would have this as a picture, and I would cross this off. I'd say, oh, don't go down here, don't go here, I'll waste my time here, and I would cross off some dead ends, and that would make it so that when I start doing the step-by-step at the very beginning, I would be able to start going through and avoid some of those dead ends before things even started. And then what you do at the end of things is you start at the end and move back to the beginning. That's how you solve a maze. So you solve a maze by getting an overview, crossing off the dead end second, starting at the beginning, moving towards the end, and then starting at the end, moving towards the beginning until you kind of meet in the middle. So that's kind of the 4 perspectives explained, and that's how we're going to do things. So we'll start top down. Then this heart of the matter thing has to do with what's the most important idea and or how do we cross off dead ends. Now, when it comes to product creation, that's going to really boil down to clarity. Clarity is extremely important when it comes to product creation, and it's a huge mistake that people make. Can they hear well? Can they see well? And are we properly organized and energetic? Okay, which of course, as you can see, we are. So that's clarity. The heart of the matter here is clarity, and we can cross off dead ends by what Serena and I did right away. Serena, when we got on this recording, right away, you and I worked together to make sure that we could hear each other very well. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
And then I asked if you could see my screen very well.
Yes, you did.
Okay, and then I explained about the organization.
That's true also.
Okay, great. So in doing that, I'm crossing off dead ends. Now, of course, very importantly, the elephant in the room here is really the first thing I did was I found Serena. Because she really knows what's going on. See, that's kind of the shortcut here. Of course, if we don't have the main value proposition there, then all the clarity in the world doesn't matter if we're not really giving people a service. So Serena's an OMGer. By wonderful serendipity, she was on a webinar with me and Alex Gould. Alex is an OMGer making north of $30,000 per month as an affiliate marketer. Alex was paying it forward to the rest of the OMG community by having a wonderful webinar training with me. Serena was on that training. Alex and I had discovered in our pre-training that there's this search phrase, fibro. We found this during our training, during our pre-training. We identified this search term. I knew that my wife was suffering from this, so it really had particular interest to me, right? So that helps me be energetic, and then just through wonderful serendipity, Serena was on the same webinar. She spoke out during the webinar. We actually brought her live, and then I spoke with Serena on the phone a few days later. Serena outlined the main information we're going to be giving here in the actual product part of things, and I took action on what Serena said. My wife and I have been applying Serena's advice, and it has wonderfully eased my wife's symptoms, which is tremendous for my wife. Of course, I love her like crazy, and I want her to be happy, and of course that makes my life better too. Now, that also really makes me want other people to know about this, and Alex feels the same way. He feels very passionate that it's just not good enough because look, my wife had gone to to Mayo Clinic and to Wikipedia, and it wasn't enough. It wasn't saying consult your physician just wasn't enough. And we went to a physician. She actually went to a couple. Anyways, we'll get into more of the details. So really, of course, having somebody wonderful who can help you find the right answer, that's a great thing. And Serena was able to help me understand why she knows about this stuff. Her daughter has suffered from it. She has helped her daughter wonderfully recover and now live a normal life, and a very normal life. And she's helped lots of other people with this as well. So, of course, clarity also goes along with service, okay? So, of course, we want to make sure we are of service to our customers, that we have, in this case, a wonderful expert, which Serena is. And she's traveled America. She's tested with different equipment and so on. We're not going to get too much into that during this, but she's really a top gun when it comes to this. Now, the third part, again, our third step is starting from square one, going step by step, which is like beginning at the starting point of the maze and traveling towards the end. And so what Serena and I are going to do is we are going to lead people through a fast start remedy, right? Oh, sorry. Let me just back up just a little bit. In terms of the heart of the matter stuff, I did a good job of explaining that in terms of the product creation part of it. I didn't give an example. For our product, fibro is currently not something that you can cure, okay, at least that we know of, all right? So it is something that needs to be sort of a lifestyle treatment. Do you think that that's a pretty accurate way of putting it, Serena, that's sort of more about lifestyle changes than it is about, you know, a single pill or treatment that then cures it forever?
Yes, it involves changes in lifestyle. It doesn't involve one pill to cure it all. There isn't a current cure per se, and I'll explain that later. But a lot of people can do things by themselves, and they don't need to spend a lot of time and money and energy if they start from the information I'm giving them, because it saves them a lot of pain and aggravation and expense.
And I can testify that my experience mirrors exactly what Serena said. I was actually able to just happily tell her that I would have paid her $1,000 for the half an hour or 45 minutes that she spent on me on the phone. And now, having had the results that we've had, then I doubly feel that way. So anyways, once again, going back to the law of implication, one of David Mill's important ideas is unraveling. And the idea is that if you have a box that has a bunch of money in it, but then it's all knotted up, it's tied and bound and knotted, there's a knot, then the way that you get into the box, is by unraveling things. So I'll pull up Google here. If I put knot in here. So this is not the kind of knot I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that's more of a tangled knot. Let me try tangled knot. So if you have like a tangled knot like this, okay, or like this, or like this yarn that's all together here, then what we need to do is we can start with any number of different strands, and we pull them and tug them apart and tease them apart. But there's no one strand that we can grab and just pull really hard. And in fact, if we do that, it's going to all knot up, right? It's going to actually literally make things worse. So what we need to do is kind of tease things apart. Grab this part and pull on it a little bit, tug it a little bit. Grab this rope here, this braid right here, and pull it back a little bit. Then maybe that allows us to pull this part out a little bit. And eventually it all kind of becomes unbound and becomes very workable. But until we've unraveled it, then we can't get it at any of the goodies inside of the box. And that's what fibro is like. You really are just going to want to take a number of angles on it. People are going to want to try to reduce their stress. There are a number of things that you can take. There's one drug, Lyrica. There is a number of supplements. I don't know the exact terminology that you call them, but you can take some L-glutamine. You can take some B12. Anyways, I'll more let Serena explain that. But there's a number of supplements and so forth that you can take. You can have an eye towards weather, and staying out of particularly cold weather can be especially rough on things. There are dietary examples. Now, one of the things, a lot of people who suffer from fibro will have issues with glutens, which mostly is wheat. So if they cut down on the amount of wheat that they're eating and do things like eat gluten-free bread and so forth, then that can ease things. So again, we're kind of unraveling. And something that people also need to know is, listen, folks who have fibro tend to have very low energy. And so unraveling can be kind of difficult. So oftentimes they need your help. For example, to get my wife off the ground with things, I just realized that she didn't have all the energy to go and buy these. Well, first of all, even to research. She didn't have quite as much energy to research as she might normally. So I got with Serena and I researched. Serena gave me a number of supplements to go to the vitamin store. I'm calling them supplements, but they're bottles from the vitamin store, and we'll explain those later on. And I went and I bought those. I scheduled a doctor's appointment, and I'm not acting like my wife is an idiot or she's just this invalid or a cripple or something's wrong with her. Although it can be so rough that somebody can be almost crippled. But the thing is, my wife is leading the rest of her life. She has 2 kids, and just the rest of her life to lead. And so piling on, there's a certain amount of energy, especially I'll call it escape velocity. And this is what Serena did for her daughter. Serena, your daughter was quite a rough case for fibro. She started when she was 13, and it was debilitating for her.
Yes, she was going on a very fast slope downwards, and she was ready to be, incapacitated if it was continuing like that. So.
And now she leads quite a normal life, but you helped her get that escape velocity.
Yes.
Does that idea of escape velocity make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
And escape velocity, if someone else is watching this and they don't quite know what I'm talking about, no problem. Let's look at a space shuttle. Now, a space shuttle, if we look at it, has these gigantic rocket thrusters, okay, and this big thing of fuel on it. But the actual airplane-looking part of it, that's the shuttle. This additional stuff here, the two big rocket thrusters and the big thing of fuel here, I assume it's fuel, is there to get escape velocity, to get the space shuttle out of the atmosphere. It does use its engines, obviously, to assist things, but then once it's got escape velocity, it can just kind of cruise in outer space, right? So one of the things that we want to help people understand in this product is that really being helping the person who's suffering from fibro have a little bit of extra energy for things, dialing it up a little bit can really make all the difference. Do you think that that's accurate, Serena?
Yes.
Okay,
and
great.
They definitely need help with that. So
right. So
it's a major issue.
Right. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to help them provide energy, or if it's the fibro sufferer that's getting this product, we'll help them understand that they need to enlist somebody for help, because that's really going to help them. Now, they don't necessarily need to do that, but it's really going to help if they can. Okay. So that's the heart of the matter, and that's helping you understand. And Serena, you can testify. I created all of this myself. Now, I interviewed you a few weeks ago, but in terms of this outline here, you didn't create this outline. I created it.
Yes, you did.
And it's pretty sensible, right?
Yes, makes sense.
Okay. What I mean is, like, if you saw somebody getting treated based on this outline and based on the information, you might have done things a little bit different yourself, but it's pretty good for me being the one designing it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It's very basic, down to the nitty-gritty plan. And
we even have a plan to expand upon this. We're not quitting at this. This is just to help people have something that's along the lines of 1 hour long. The customer will have something that's along the lines of about 1 hour or less, even a half an hour, that will really help them understand the basics. And then, Serena, you're going to be able to wonderfully expand on each of these topics.
Yeah, it can start somebody on the right path. So they can take the first measures and move on with their life, so they start getting better, which is extremely important.
Okay, great. Great, that's excellent. All right, so let me just take care of something here just for one moment. And for example, now one of the things that you can do is you'll actually be able to, you'll be able, for example, it won't be all fast start remedies. There's actually a number of additional things that you can do to help people that are much more in depth. For example, one of the things that you do is a certain kind of laser treatment that they may be able to seek out. But that's not a fast start remedy. That would be something that would be a little bit more involved. Yeah,
there are two levels of help which they can apply. And one is the basic startup level, which anybody can do on a modest budget and without much outside intervention, complicated help or anything. Right. So it's very simple to follow, and they just have to stick with it and do it. The second level It's a little bit more complex. It's for people who want to go the extra mile and do more, and it obviously helps a lot, but not everybody is willing or able, at least at the beginning, to
and again, because it's so much, and again, because it's so much about energy, doing the fast start can then help somebody have the energy to get to that next level.
Yes, they can move on based to, you know, they accomplish something at the first level, then they can move on and continue to expand if they wish to.
Okay, great. So the way that we're going to begin with things, do the step-by-step part of things, is explain these fast start remedies. And of course, we'll let people know that as a part of the fast start, one of the things that they can do is look forward to more wonderful information from Serena on how to take things to the next level. Then finally, when we go back to our 4 perspectives, we have our examples. And examples allow people to kind of reverse engineer the result. And this is a lot like starting at the end of the maze and moving back to the beginning. So, for example, when it comes to product creation, then, there's something I want to say about, let me just backtrack one more time. When it comes to the step-by-step, one of the things I've done is I've divided this into different kinds of videos. So it's very important for you to know the difference between discussion videos and step-by-step videos and not to mix them if you can at all help it. Now, this is a unique circumstance where the only thing that makes sense is for me to do this all at once, okay? So this isn't how I would normally record something. I would normally break things down because I wouldn't be working with Serena like this. I would be doing the product myself. Or most importantly, I wouldn't be witnessed while I'm creating the product. But because I wanted Serena to learn how to create a product herself, you know, after she gets this assistance, after I help her get escape velocity, I want her to have a recording of this. And while I'm doing that, I may as well give a wonderful recording to OMGers who can understand, you know, then you can build your own product. So that's great. That makes things necessarily a little bit more tangled and complicated for me. So I have to kind of make it all into one training. And I'm trying to give you kind of a fast start on starting a product. Again, if David Mills were to do this, it would have a different level of clarity. But regardless, one of the things I want you to know about when you sit down to do this 3rd step, the kind of step-by-step aspect of things, you want to be aware of the difference between discussion videos versus step-by-step videos. Because the way the videos work, people are kind of locked into a corner with you. They're like locked into a room with you, and they have to watch them. So, for example, this is going to be more of a discussion video, and this is going to be more of a discussion video, where Serena and I are going to be discussing some of the ideas that we've already covered, okay? You know, that we covered during this recording right now. But the fast start remedy, that's going to be more like, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. Use it this way, use it this way, use it this way, use it this way. The end, right? It's a lot like learning link strategies from Greg. He'll be like, use this anchor text, right? Or, you know, structure your site this way, step by step. So that's not a discussion, that's step by step. And then the examples again will be more of a step by step thing. So I'll give an example from my life, from my wife's situation, and then of course Serena can expand on that more and more and more with the product she has, her daughter, and a number of other people that she's helped. So that's a little bit about step by step. I wanted to kind of point that out, is that with this 4 perspectives idea, the step by step aspect of it, when we're creating a product, let's be very aware of the difference between discussion videos and step by step videos, and let's not intermingle them. Now, this particular video breaks that rule, but kind of necessarily, because I'm doing it all in one shot, okay? And even then, I'll very potentially break this up a little bit. I'm doing this all in one recording. I may be able to break up the recordings a little bit and have some text a little bit to help break things out and help people understand a little better. And I'll have an eye towards doing that. And the way I'll be guided is by distinguishing between discussion videos and step-by-step videos. So, Serena, please keep that in mind when you sit down to, for example, go more in depth with what is fibro and what are the symptoms. Then if you happen to be prescribing some steps for that later on as we're expanding things, then make make those step-by-step videos separate than discussing the concepts. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does.
So, for example, if Greg Morrison was creating a video on building a private blog network, we'd want to have a separate video where he explains the concept, and then a different video where you watch him actually going in and bidding on auctions. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. And that'll help you organizationally. All right, so finally, in our 4 perspectives, we've got this examples, reverse engineering. We always want to provide people with examples in reverse engineering. Now, a big thing you can do in your product creation is really rely on transparency. Now, I could have sat down the first night with Serena and attempted to record this product, okay? But I didn't. What I did instead was I tried it myself in my own life with my wife, and I was fired up. Serena, I was excited after I talked to you. I really felt like a lot of hope.
I'm glad to hear that.
But all the same, I still took the time to apply this with my wife, and I learned a lot, and that gives me examples that I can share. So with OMG, for example, there are concepts that we know work, or that we suspect at least work, but we give you actual websites to go off of and look at. And for example, this, of course, this lesson here is very holographic, right? So I'm teaching product creation while creating a product with Serena. So it's very transparent. It's very holographic. Does that make sense, Serena?
Yes.
Okay, great. And the examples I'm planning on using in this case for the fast start will just be testifying as to what happened and walking through what did happen. Now, I'm going to resist when we're in this example phase. I'm going to resist speculating. I'm going to resist trying to connect dots that I don't know how to connect. I'm just going to explain the rough timeline of when I talked to Serena, what I did next, what happened next, what happened, what I know about. I actually got off the phone with my wife just a little while ago because I wanted to, she's out with the kids, but I wanted to get a little bit of clarity on what's been going on, a little bit of an update from her right before I started the video, and so that's what we're doing now. So that's the basis of how we're going to do things. That's the basis of how we're going to do things. And now what I'm going to do, I'm just using a notepad here. Now, it would look nicer if I used PowerPoint, and I think PowerPoint would be better. In this case, I'm not going to use PowerPoint because I'm going to have a little bit more flexibility just using this notepad. Now, I'm also going to try to get rid of some distractions here. I just heard my my Facebook bonking away, so let's try to get rid of my Facebook. Like close all my Facebook windows so I don't have sound coming out. And I have a lot of Facebook windows open, so you're just gonna have to give me a second here while I close those. And I typically want to have my phone off. I'm in a situation where I agreed to be available for my wife or something if something important comes up. So I will keep my phone on in this situation. But all things being equal, I'd rather not have it on just for this situation here. So let me just close this. I want to try to close additional windows if I can. I need this, so I'm going to close that. Okay, so hopefully that will cut down on the distractions and have things be a little bit better. Okay, so what we're going to do now, since this is now if this was a Camtasia recording, I would have already stopped a few times and cut things a little bit into like 20-minute segments and so forth. But because of audio quality, if I was piping Serena in from my speakers and having to record that, we wouldn't get the same audio quality. So I chose GoToMeeting to host this, which is a pretty great style for interviews. What I'm going to do now, Serena, is I'm going to delete these things. Do you want to take a screen capture of this? Do you know how to take a screen capture?
Yes. Give me 1 second to do that.
Okay, great. And let me just reduce the size of it a little bit so you can screen capture all of it at the same time.
Okay.
Kind of keep this in front of you.
Good.
Okay, great. Now I'm gonna move this information onto a different document that I'm gonna keep up on a different screen, but you won't see it on this screen here. All right. So, but I'm gonna keep this stuff in mind as well. Okay. So So what I'm going to do here then is we're going to start recording. I'm going to nicely introduce Serena quickly. Again, this is a fast start, so they're going to have more of a product built around this, but this may be one of the first things that they go through that orients them and gets them started, because people who are in pain and people who are suffering oftentimes need to cut, kind of cut to the front of the line and get going. So we're going to make this pretty fast-paced, Serena, and we're going to try to keep it as short as reasonably possible without confusing people, and especially without making any mistakes where we tell them the wrong thing. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So we're now going to start the product, and I'm going to give it 3, 2, 1, and we'll actually be recording what will wind up being in the product. I'll take this video and I'll dissect it a little bit with my video software, with my video recording software, and I'll provide 4 video files to Serena and Alex, which they can then transcribe if they want to. All right, starting in 3, let's see, fibromyalgia, is that how I should say it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Starting in 3, 2. Hey, this is Mike, and I have the honor of being here with Serena, and Serena is quite an expert on fibro, and she's created this whole wonderful product for you, and it's going to really help you get started quickly, but also get started fully, because fibromyalgia can be such a difficult condition to contend with. There's a lot of misinformation about it. It can really affect people's lives. And Serena has helped so many people, including her own daughter, and including helping me and my wife, because my wife suffers from it as well. So this is going to be wonderful for you. I'm so glad to be starting with this Fast Start Guide. In this Fast Start Guide, we're going to answer what is fibro, what are the symptoms. We're going to help you understand how to treat it through what we're going to call unraveling. And we'll explain what we mean about energy and escape velocity as we go. And then we're going to give you specific fast start remedies. Now, I'll tell you this right now. If you're in an absolute rush and you're just dying for it, you can skip ahead to video 3 and get started with the fast start remedy. But then please do come back and watch the rest of things, because that'll help you. But we will give you fast start remedies. They'll get you started. And we'll also explain that there's much more that you can do past just the fast start that will really help expand things. But the fast start will really get you going. And then we're going to provide you with an example from my life. And then throughout the rest of the training, Serena is going to be able to give you many more examples because she's helped her daughter and she's helped lots of other people, and that's a wonderful thing. So Serena, I tracked you down for this. I really wanted you to do this product. I'm so excited that I was able to twist your arm into doing it. Now, you're passionate about helping people, but it's a very important thing to do, and it takes a lot of your focus to do this. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me.
Hello, Mike. Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here and making this happen and using all my knowledge and information. I have accumulated this over 15 years or so since my daughter started having fibromyalgia at age 13. She is 29 going on 30. It's my privilege to be able to provide you with this information, and I really hope that I can help you as much as I help my daughter and the patients who come to my office. You've
helped lots and lots of patients, is that correct? About how many people have you treated?
Yes, many, many people. I am not an MD, but I do work with different therapies and quite advanced, and nutrition and different other modalities and techniques. So I'll talk about those at the more advanced level, but the nutrition and the basics will be ready for you for the fast start.
Great. So, and again, we're not doctors. I'm not a doctor, and Serena's not a doctor. You can't consult a doctor. You're going to want to be careful with selecting a doctor, because some doctors know a lot more about fibro than others. But regardless, this is not medical advice. However, this is pulled from Serena's wonderful experience, and it has helped her daughter. It's helped my wife, and can very potentially, it's helped many of her patients and can potentially help you. So let's get started here. What is fibro, and what are some of the main symptoms that people will experience?
Fibromyalgia is considered a syndrome. The cause of it. There are different opinions, and in the past, it was supposed to be more in people's mind, more of a immune system or nervous system disease. They were guessing. So that's why they were trying different pharmaceutical medications without success, and that was my daughter's experience with it. If I can quickly talk about that after I explain what fibro is considered nowadays. It is caused by the central nervous system sensitivity and super response to stimulation, like things which are not causing any problems for regular people are causing serious problems for people suffering with fibromyalgia. And it influences the way they feel pain. They feel pain much stronger than anybody else. The nerve fibers in their system are super sensitive. So it's like they are in a fight or flight mode at all time. And this in turn affects the thyroid and the adrenals, which cause group of issues. So a lot of fibromyalgia sufferers have not just pain amplification and like extreme response to stimuli, but they have fatigue because the adrenals and the thyroid are drained. They have insomnia or restless sleep. They have trouble concentrating, what is called the fibro fog. You have brain fog because of it, and not just because of the lack of sleep, but it just kind of muddles your thinking. So also, you know, the muscle pain, tendon, joint pain, and the stiffness and everything accompanying it.
And this muscle pain can.
Do you want me to stop for a second?
If you want to tend to your dog,
yes,
that's just fine.
I have to. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem at all. I'm sure the people listening to this would just absolutely love to get this information.
Yeah,
one of the things I can do is I'll explain a few things. Yep, that's fine.
Yes.
Go for it. So go for it.
Okay.
And I'll explain a few things while you're taking care of that. So,
all right.
So for example,
okay, I'll mute it.
Okay, that's fine. And so the way this showed up in my wife, there's also a weather sensitivity, and stress can be quite difficult. So these things all kind of work together, and we'll get to some of the things that can really exacerbate things and make things worse, and what triggers all this to begin with. But I want to talk for a second about the way these symptoms interact and the general effect that they have. So they generally kind of create a downward spiral, and that's why treating it is going to be a bit like tugging away at a knot, which we'll discuss in a few minutes. But it's not exactly like, there's not like one pill that you can take that will fix everything. It's something that needs to be kind of teased apart. Like if you start with quite a tangled knot, I'll pull this up and I'll just type in tangled knot. We'll get more into this as time goes on. But if we were to look at this knot right here, you wouldn't just grab this top part right here and pull really hard. That won't fix things. That'll actually make things worse. So we're going to have to kind of tease these symptoms apart a little bit, and in some cases address several of the symptoms. For example, for my wife, the insomnia could be quite bad when she started sleeping better, both through reducing stress, clearing things out so she had more time, and she actually has taken some sleep medication prescribed by her doctor as well. Then that helped. Okay, that helped. Generally, the fatigue part for my wife doesn't generally go away until a number of the symptoms are treated. That's something that until a number of these other things, like stress is reduced, when the weather's not too bad, she's getting sleep, the muscle pain is down, then her energy will generally go up. But until then, this fatigue can really be a problem because it can also make it difficult to treat because this is kind of a disease where you need to work on things a bit. And like I said, it's a little bit like unraveling a knot. You have to kind of a syndrome where you have to come at it from a few different angles to start teasing things apart. Now, when it comes to muscle pain, my wife would experience this as a severe burning. Where it would be really, really painful for her and feel like her back, her top neck, and the top of her shoulders would really just burn and burn and burn all day. And doctors try to treat this a number of different ways. Now, it's something that can be addressed, but like drugs or painkillers, for example, typically aren't enough to really take care of things. I can't bring enough emphasis to the importance of stress. If you have somebody in your life who has fibro, it can be very difficult because some doctors still don't even recognize it. Now, I'll show you something that I think will be eye-opening to you, which is if you go on the Google search engines, and if you search, this is called a Google AdWords keyword planner. This is a marketing device that Google puts out there to let people know, just basically for advertising purposes, how much a given search term is getting searched, so they can know, and plan their marketing budgets and so forth. And I want to show you this. I think this is extraordinary. This is the number of people every month typing fibromyalgia into the real Google search engines. That's 368,000 people per month, month after month. So in September, it was 368,000. October, November, December, just down to around 300,000. But then right back in January, in March, all the way up to 450,000 people searching for this issue. And again, this is a little bit of an estimate, but that lets you know how many people, and that you're not alone if you're struggling with this. You're not alone. And yet, it's not a very well understood disease. Some doctors know a fair amount about it now, and that's good. But some doctors don't even believe it exists. Now, of course, you can see that there's something going on. If there's 368,000 searches on Google, there's something going on. And so, of course, if a doctor looks at you and says, I don't believe this exists, it's possibly better to seek somebody else. That's up to you. Serena, are you back?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem at all. I'm sure the people watching right now just want help, and if a dog barks once or twice, it just simply isn't the end of the world. Okay, so were you able to hear a lot of what I was saying?
I heard the end of it. I didn't hear everything else, but I heard that, and that is true. When my daughter started having fibromyalgia symptoms, doctors first told her that it's all in her head, although she had like excruciating pain, physical pain, and which was very scary at the time, and nobody would believe her. They would try to treat her, with psychoanalysis and psychiatric help and antidepressants and all sort of.
Have you seen people respond well to that?
No, they don't. But that was the route taking, and it's sometimes still today. Some doctors don't believe it's real, or they think it's more in your head, or it's more, you know, a mental issue.
Yeah.
So some of them still continue to think that way.
Yeah, and I'm not quibbling with our doctor, but when we went and got a new doctor because our previous doctor had tried to treat it directly with painkillers and so forth. And
yeah, so that's the other issue. They just, if they believe you are in pain, they can see you're hurting. They give you painkillers of all sorts. They can give you different nervous system medication, which, like from schizophrenia to bipolar problems, which don't help. So my daughter had tried everything. We went through hell and back with it, and I thought I would lose her because she was deteriorating rapidly. All these medications have serious side effects. And until one day, she was seeing blood on the bathroom walls because of one of the medications.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I said, this must stop. And I just decided I'm going to go in a different direction, take things in my own hands, find people who can help me much better. And that's how I started learning all the therapies and techniques, and educated myself and learned about nutrition and everything influencing this fibromyalgia syndrome. So I could change my daughter's life around, and then I decided to make it my profession and help other people overcome this disabling problems. Because if you leave it and you don't take action, if you let it develop, there are people who are on disability because of fibromyalgia. And
right.
I didn't want my daughter to be one of them.
Yep. Now, and let's also note that when it's getting mistreated, unfortunately, that can actually lead to more stress, which is exactly what was happening. So very possibly some of the treatments that were being tried on her were actually making things worse.
Yes, they did. And I'm very grateful in a way that it was kind of a wake-up call for me at the time, and I decided to take a different direction, and it paid off, and it showed it was the right way to go. Now they have Lyrica, which at the time didn't exist. It takes off the edge of the pain. It's not a cure-all. There isn't any cure actually for fibromyalgia, but there are ways in which you can address it, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say, that people are very much affected by weather changes and cold weather, damp weather affects fibromyalgia sufferers, as long as and as well as stress. So it's very important to keep stress under control, and anxiety, and also overexertion. I mean, they might be meaning well to try and exercise, which is good in moderation, but overexertion of any kind and overstress, they're detrimental.
Okay, great, great. All right, so this is a great outline. Now, one of the things I want to talk about before we move on is the role of like some of the perceived causes, and let's start with diet. There has been some linking between people who struggle with gluten, like gluten intolerance, and fibro. Is that correct?
Yes. More than 60% of fibromyalgia sufferers have problems with their digestive system, which many times is misdiagnosed again as IBS or different other, colitis or different other things. It's actually based on gluten sensitivity or other food allergies, a combination of, and they can be dairy, soy, in a small measure eggs, and something which people might not be familiar with, nightshades. Nightshades are vegetables in that family, which include potatoes, tomatoes, onions, eggplants, and peppers, both red and green. So it might come as a surprise to many to find out that this exacerbates pain for fibromyalgia if you are sensitive to nightshades. So we'll talk about food sensitivities in a minute. I want to start
what is it? What does this digestive problem do? It actually makes it so the intestines really get even damaged.
It damages the intestinal lining, so it kind of creates holes in it. It's called leaky gut syndrome, and for a better wording, it describes it. They're very tiny holes in the intestinal lining because the protective layer, they're called the villi, are damaged, and the gluten in wheat, and there are a few other grains, the rye and barley have also glutens. Worse, so you can end up, you have leaky gut at first, then you can evolve and you can have, a lot like real pain, physical pain. At the beginning might be just bloating, uneasiness, it gives you more pain in the rest of your body, but you don't know why. But then it can be physical pain, and really exacerbates everything, increases inflammation in your whole body. So it is a big issue for fibromyalgia.
Right.
But it can be changed. That's the good part. People can eat gluten-free nowadays. It's much more available. There are specific brands which are better than others, and they really taste more like normal breads, for example, or pasta or different other products. For a few people, corn, it's an issue too. And I wanted to mention because some gluten-free products have corn. So you have to try it and see if that's your case or not. So like for all the food sensitivities, you should try to eat like for 2 weeks without that product, without that food, and then reintroduce it and see how your body is going to react, and that you would know. Unless you want to go and get, there is a way of testing it, which is called NAT, but
yeah,
that's
and we can probably get to this a little bit more in the step by step.
Yes. Yes.
So this is excellent information. Now, what's great about what Serena just showed you is, again, our next video we're going to be talking about unraveling, but this is such a great example, what she's just talking to you about with unraveling. And don't worry if you didn't follow all this. We'll cover it when it comes to the Fast Start Remedy part. What we are doing here is we're showing you how this can really be a tangled knot, right? How this can really be a tangled knot. But the great news is it can become unraveled, and things can and will get much better. One of the things I also want to point out is, please notice how all these things can really work together to compound stress. So really, 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 they should take stress seriously. Is that correct, Serena?
Yes.
Okay,
stress, it's a major factor. So even if you have the diet and nutrition under control, you still have to maintain low stress in your life. So, and I'll give you some ideas about that too.
Great. All right, terrific. So this was a terrific first video. Thanks so much. And now what we'll do is go on to our second video about unraveling. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. So now we're going to get into unraveling, Serena. And the whole thing here is, as we saw, there's such a different number of symptoms, and you can get deeper and more into those symptoms. But there's so many different symptoms and so many different causes that there's no one pressure point that will fix things. Even if you reduce your stress, for example, if you're still having diet issues or living in extremely cold weather, not getting good sleep, you can still be relatively low stress and still be having a lot of these problems. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Now, one of the things that you helped me understand, and it really helped me listen to my wife very differently, is that an important strategy is to understand energy. Because what happens is, as we discussed in our symptoms, people suffering from fibro do suffer from fatigue, and this can really compound things because when, for example, when you have fatigue, it's a lot easier to just eat at McDonald's, right?
Yes.
Because you don't feel like preparing
That's
dinner.
the worst thing you can do.
Right, exactly. But it'll happen, right?
Yes, it can happen because you have no energy to cook.
Right, and so you have fatigue, and that makes you more stressed because you don't have energy, and so on. So really, we want to keep this metaphor of untangling this knot full in mind. This is really going to help us. And listen, we're not going to point to 1,000 different things to do. In our fast start here, we're going to be reporting on a handful of things that we want you to focus in on. And in focusing on those few things, you're really going to start bringing this knot apart, and that may be enough for you. And if it is, that's wonderful. If it's not, Serena's going to go more and more in depth in the rest of your training, and that's going to really be terrific. Now, when it comes to energy, Serena, so often it can be so helpful for people to have somebody help them get escape velocity. Much like with, let's say, let me pull this up, with a space shuttle. I have this picture here. I've got a picture of a space shuttle here, and here's the shuttle taking off and getting ready to go into outer space. Let me just pull it up here. But this is what a shuttle looks like without its thrusters. This is what a shuttle looks like with the thrusters. The thrusters are to help that shuttle get into outer space, get out from underneath gravity, and then once it gets into outer space, there's much less gravity, it's much less work, and then these little rocket thrusters that it has in the back are plenty. It actually drops off. Actually, I can probably find a picture here of the thrusters dropping off somewhere, maybe not. But anyways, well, take my word for it. They drop off. Just quickly looked around there. But anyways, this whole package here will drop off, and it'll just be just the shuttle, and it can just kind of orbit around space. With fibro, once you get escape velocity, especially starting with our fast start method here, once you help your loved one, or if you're the person suffering from fibro, if you can enlist the help of at least one of your loved ones to help out, to help you stay on track with some of this stuff, to help stay on track with diet, to reduce your stress, to take some of these supplements that we're going to point to, Serena, that can really be a difference maker.
It definitely helps to have somebody, a family member or friend, somebody supporting you, helping you out, and being there for you and understanding the situation, because most people don't realize how serious this is. You might look fine, but you are not feeling fine.
It can really wreck someone's life. I mean, your daughter was nearly crippled at the worst of things. Is that correct?
Yes, she could not go to school. She had to have homeschooling. She was losing weight. She was really deteriorating. She couldn't sleep at night because of pain, or because she was anxious that she was having this stabbing, excruciating pain. So she needed me with her all night, to be there for her.
Right, which then affects you.
Well, yes,
Of course. Yeah.
And that's how I came to the conclusion that I had to do something about it because it was deteriorating too fast.
And so the funny thing is the shortcut in this case is actually to step up your energy for a short period of time while you get things under control, and that's actually going to give you even more energy. So again, like the rocket thruster example.
Yeah, it helps if you take the first steps and then you start feeling better and improve, then you can take further steps to do even more.
Now, again, I want to implore people, and if you want to find the Google Keyword Planner yourself, you just sign up for an AdWords account, it's free, and type in fibromyalgia. Again, 368,000 people on average per month are having such difficulty with this, either themselves personally or a loved one, that they're going to Google and say, oh my gosh, Google, what do I do about this? This is so difficult. And that's, that's really heartbreaking. We can compare it to other symptoms, like let's try glaucoma. And I don't know what it's going to say about glaucoma. I'm actually a little bit curious myself. So we'll see. But my point is, this is a major, really a major issue that people are really suffering from. My computer's a little bit hung up on this. So regardless, the point is, I think you can understand that if 368,000 people are searching for this, this is a real problem in plenty of people's lives. And there's many other searches, by the way, that people are looking for. Define fibromyalgia, 1,000 people a month are searching for that. Symptoms of fibromyalgia in women, 1,000 per month. And this isn't so much a keyword lesson or a marketing lesson. It just it really just shows that this can really just be a heartbreaking condition that can really redefine somebody's life for the negative. So Serena, go ahead.
The sad part is that most medical professionals, most MDs, are only if they come to accept it, and luckily in the past few years with Lyrica coming on the market, they came to accept that there is something wrong there. But the vast majority only prescribe pharmaceuticals, and that's why people are searching for something else, because that's not the answer, the total answer for it. The choice would be to find a naturopathic doctor or a doctor who is an MD but it's trained in complementary medicine, because they all come into play to help a lot more, and they would have a different view on things, not just try to prescribe painkillers. So more of a holistic view.
Got it. Okay, great. Now, there is a lot of misinformation out there. We discussed some of it in the previous video. What are the key pieces of information that really can really bring great harm to people?
Well, first of all, the fact that it wasn't accepted as a problem, that was the worst. And they were saying it's in somebody's mind, or that they're pretending, or something like that. Then it was treated as an immune system disease like lupus, or a mental disease. So they had different approaches. Finally, there were a group of rheumatologists who defined how to diagnose fibromyalgia. If you have 11 out of 18 tender points in specific parts of your body, then you do have fibromyalgia. So this was the definitive point in actually being accepted that there is a fibromyalgia syndrome which affects people, and in large number. They're like, affects women 7 to 1. Men are less affected. Most women affected by this are in their late 20s, early 30s, later 30s, like between 20 and 40 years old is the majority. But now we're starting to see also very young people who can be like my daughter was, who can be affected during teenage years, because this is also influenced by hormonal changes. So both women after 40 who have hormonal changes and girls who go through the teenage years can be affected. So it's a lot more spread than it was thought initially.
Now, something that sorry about this. So something that you did and something that I did, I took your cue. Again, we're talking about energy and escape velocity as well. You really went out and took the bull by the horns to figure out like what your what your daughter needed, and then as much as possible, you were providing kind of done for you solutions. So,
yes.
So you were really like, if she needed medicine, it wouldn't be enough to say take medicine, because sometimes she just wouldn't have the energy to do it. So
no, you have to help in applying, like maybe putting together this plan. If it's, you know, a family member or a friend, a loved one, and maybe they're not ready for it, they don't know what to do. So a lot of people have family members or close friends who suffer with this. So they can be the motor behind this. They can put this plan together and help that person who has fibromyalgia, because they are very low on energy and they are plagued by brain fog. Their thinking it's not always straight, even though they would want to be. It's a serious issue, and everything gets so much more exacerbated by all the elements and all the influencing issues which intervene. So one day you can be well and you can go and have a good time and meet your friends and go to a party or, you know, be well at work, but the next day you can really be suffering greatly. So, and most people don't understand this. They tell people, oh, you look fine. Well, it's not how you look, it's how you feel. And it feels awful. So
yeah,
it's very important to address that.
So something something that people can do. What you did was you're willing to meet your daughter sometimes most of the way, and sometimes even meeting her all the way. This is as opposed to meeting somebody. You know, the traditional idea with things is to meet someone halfway or to give them a little bit of help, but really to be kind of expecting them or tough love or whatever. And this is not a tough love situation. Tough love is not going to help. They really need somebody who's willing to meet them sometimes most of the way and sometimes all of the way. Sometimes you'll need to get all of their medications together. Sometimes you'll need, not necessarily medications, but if we're trying different supplements, and some medication could be Lyrica. Sometimes they just need everything broomed out of the way for them. Taking care of the chores that they would normally have to do. Just sometimes being willing to meet somebody all of the way can make all the difference, because once that person turns the corner, then they're going to have so much energy and be able to help you once they turn the corner with their fibro. Do you think that,
yes.
have you seen that sort of thing?
That's very true. Yes. I mean, people who had help from their spouse or a close friend or, you know, anybody who was ready to step up and pitch in and really make a difference, those people progressed very well and much faster than others who are just dragging themselves along and, not being able to do everything which they needed to do.
Yeah. So certainly, if you're the person suffering, finding a loved one that you can show this particular video series to, and especially this video to, and I want to implore somebody, both the sufferer and person, who loves that sufferer, that things can just be so different if you really go after this. Things can be just so different if the loved one is willing to meet the person suffering from fibro most of the way sometimes, or even sometimes all of the way. That can make such a difference. And the other thing is, we really, Serena, it was such a miracle. I'll tell you, I'll testify. The first time I talked to you, if I had to pay $1,000 for the first hour's worth of conversation, I would have been grateful, because it's such great information. And I want to really urge people watching this to go for understanding. You really want to go for understanding and understand and really feel that, like, when you cross off a dead end, you are moving forward. For example, we talked in the previous video just a little bit about nightshades. If you eliminate potatoes, if you realize potatoes aren't causing a problem, then that's a success. It may have taken you 2 weeks to figure that out, but it's going to move you forward. Or if you find out that that corn is causing a problem, then that's a success. You've really moved forward. So, for example, to go back to the knot, let me just pull up a different screen here. To go back to the tangled knot situation, if you had a box that's just stuffed with money, but it's bound by a rope, and the rope is with this tangled knot, and you don't have a way to cut the rope, and you're trying to get inside of the box, someone in the other room might say, well, how much of the money have you gotten out, right? Because they want to know how much progress you've made, and they say, oh, there's $1,000 in there. How much of the money have you gotten out? Well, none of it until you unravel the whole knot, right? But that doesn't mean that you're not making progress. That doesn't mean that you're wasting your time if you're, pulling a little bit here and then teasing the knot a little bit here and then loosening it a little bit here. Does that make sense to you, Serena?
Yes, it does. So the beginning, the start, it's very important. If anybody can help somebody who suffers with fibromyalgia to get started on this path, to get the program to improve their outcome, this makes a huge difference. So just give a helping hand, have them start this, and be supportive along the way.
Yeah, and we don't want to just help them with actions, but with emotions. Being a little bit, like, really, one of the things that we can do, is use, like, the law of attraction, which really does work. And to see a picture of the two of you together in the near future, enjoying yourself and happy and relieved that these symptoms are passing away and that the energy has returned, that the activity in life has returned. We can focus on that. We can focus on a mental picture of that, see a mental movie of it, and we can see, assign a lot of good emotion to that. We can imagine very distinctly, together I can imagine myself with my wife and a weight being lifted off her shoulder and her big smile, she's so happy, and just knowing that she has more energy for the kids and more energy to enjoy the things that she loves in life, and more time for us to enjoy things together and be happy together, less times when she's down and so forth. And so having a clear mental picture of that, seeing that future, and really experiencing it emotionally as a team, that can really help, because we don't want to just provide a service by giving, finding a good plan of attack, which is great, and helping take some of the stressful things off their shoulders. That stuff is all great, but we also want to bring really good positivity and really good energy. Do you agree with that, Serena?
Yes, I do, 100%.
Okay, great.
Because if they're better, everybody around them will be better.
It's really an abundant thing.
Participate in the family life like a normal person.
Yeah, it's really an abundant thing. So thank you very much for sharing this video on the heart of the matter, which is unraveling and escape velocity. And now what we're going to do is get into our fast start remedy, which I've applied with my wife, and in just a few days started helping her start feeling better. And now that weeks have passed, she's just been better and better, and I'm really appreciative of. And this is something that Serena has discovered over time and applied again and again. So I think you're going to love that. Okay, we're back. We are now going to get into the good stuff. This is the fast start remedy, and of course, this is exciting now. If you haven't watched the previous two videos because you're so excited to rip into the fast start remedy, then we totally understand. Please do go back and watch those first two fast start videos, and of course the rest of the training. But we do understand you're really looking to get started here. Something that we need you to know, if you didn't watch the previous videos, you got to know. Currently, we don't know of a cure for fibro. Serena and I are not doctors, although Serena has a lot of experience with this and has helped a lot of people, including her daughter, live a very normal and wonderful life. And she's very passionate about this. And I've attempted successfully with my wife this fast start remedy, and so I'm happy to share this with you. All right, Serena, let's get into the goods here. Let's start with like medicine and should I call them supplements? What would you call the stuff that I went
Yes,
to the bottom?
supplements, nutritional supplements would be the right words for them.
Okay, so for medicine, there's Lyrica, and my wife has had good results with Lyrica so far. It definitely takes the burning away to a good extent, and if she stays off of it for a few days, the burning really does start coming back. Now, it could be that over time we're able to wean her off of it, but for a fast start, it's been pretty effective for us. What have other people's experience been with Lyrica that you've seen?
Well, the only good part is that it does take the edge off regarding that pain, but it's not, a long-term solution. It's a start, and sometimes, just that it's a beginning, but you have to follow through with everything else to actually get better and maybe not need Lyrica in the end. So, many people who follow the information I'm going to give you don't need to take pharmaceuticals anymore. They can manage fibromyalgia without that. But it's an option, and as a start, a lot of people can use it in moderation. Obviously, you shouldn't be dependent on it, and so on. So.
Okay, great. Now, one of the other things that our doctor prescribed my wife was something to help her sleep. What are your thoughts about sleep medicine?
Well, sleep is one of the most important things in fibromyalgia because a lot of people have either insomnia or they have restless sleep. They wake up early. Even if they sleep, they're not rested. They don't have deep, restful sleep. So sleep is very important because it influences how your adrenals recover. It influences the cortisol level, and also it helps if you can help the adrenals, you're helping the cortisol and the thyroid and the hypoglycemia, which is common accompanying issue in fibromyalgia. So not everybody knows that. They might not be aware of it, but it's one thing which they have to keep in mind. So they should try and manage and be aware of it. My daughter, we didn't know with my daughter until she fell down on the floor because of that. So she passed out because of hypoglycemia. So it can be a surprise.
So getting more sleep can really help with that.
And sleep, yes, because and early sleep. So ideal for the adrenals is to go to sleep at 10 o'clock. Nowadays, people don't do that. So 11 o'clock would still give you about 3 hours of recovery for the adrenals because they recover during that time. If you wake up at 3 a.m., even if you fell asleep earlier, it means your adrenals are actually acting up, and it's the cortisol which is waking you up. So it's a whole cycle with the adrenals, and that influences the thyroid. So people with fibromyalgia have issues with lack of melatonin, of enough melatonin supplied. So sometimes it's helpful to take a little melatonin before going to sleep. There are a few other things which can be used also. Melatonin can become addictive though in some cases. So do not take a lot of it because then you have a chance of having this issue. I found out that using magnesium citrate powder, a teaspoon in half a glass of water, half an hour before going to sleep.
Was it magnesium? What is it?
Citrate, like citrus citrate.
Like that?
With I, not Y. And without the S. Citrate.
And what brand do you recommend?
It doesn't matter the brand because it doesn't have additives. It's just powder in powder form. So you can buy the Vitamin Shop brand if you know, because it's cheaper, or any other store you might go to.
Which melatonin do you recommend?
Well, I don't recommend a brand, and usually, you know, in my experience, starting low, it's better. So like 1 to 1.5 milligrams, it's pretty good. But of course, you can start even, you know, with 0.5 and then see how much you actually need. Because
and so again,
younger people...
And again, the Vitamin Shop brand will be fine?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why it shouldn't be. Usually Vitamin Shop, it's cheaper than other places. GNC, it's a little bit more expensive. There are different stores all over the country, so I don't know, you know, what's available in your area. But Vitamin Shop spelled was double P and E, by the way.
All right, great.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now,
magnesium citrate also helps with relaxing the muscles, and that's does you know, double duty. That's why I like it. And it can be taken during the day too. It doesn't make you drowsy. It just relaxes the muscles, and that in turn helps relax the nervous system. So even though I don't have fibromyalgia, if I have a long day at work, standing on my feet all day, I take some before I go to sleep once in a while, and it helps me have a deeper sleep. So anybody can take that. It has to be 1 teaspoon in half a glass of water. That's the dosage for, you know, for the magnesium citrate.
Got it. Okay, great. Now let's see. Are there any other doctor-prescribed medications that people should look out for, potentially use?
Well, I wanted to add another supplement for falling asleep. It's an extract. It's called passion flower, and tincture is usually better than tablets. It helps you fall asleep. So I would go in the order of magnesium citrate, passion flower, tincture, because tincture it's concentrated, it's in a small bottle, liquid, so you take a few drops, and then I would go up to melatonin if it's necessary. So,
and is tincture something different than passion flower?
I'm sorry?
Is tincture a brand of passion flower?
Tincture, it's an extraction in liquid form. It's very no. It's the passion flower tincture, TINCTURE, tincture.
And
It is a concentrated liquid extracted either with or without alcohol.
got it.
It can be with glycerin or with alcohol.
And is that the Vitamin Shop brand again? Will be fine?
Yes. And you take a few drops of that. It's written on the bottle usually, so it's easy to follow instructions.
Great. All right, let's continue on with supplements.
Okay, one more thing regarding sleep. For those people who wake up at 3 a.m., between 3 and 4, and they have that issue with the cortisol, there is a supplement called Relora, R-E-L-O-R-A, Relora. Okay, it combines two separate herbal remedies which are used in Chinese medicine, but this is created by the Western companies, and usually the dosage is 2 tablets before going to sleep. This gives very good results. It's also good for people who have hormonal issues, and they get woken up between 3 and 4 a.m. because of the adrenals and everything else. Women at menopause have that issue too. So.
Got it. Okay, let's get over to diet supplements.
Okay.
So what are we going to go with here? So one of the things that's been great for my wife.
The gluten-free diet is number 1.
Well, and I'm actually still in supplements. I meant to say dietary supplements.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll go on.
Yes.
So L-glutamine was something that was really great.
Yes. The letter L, like Larry. L-glutamine, which is an amino acid glutamine with E at the end. Glutamine, that's it. It's an amino acid. It needs to be in powder form again, so it can be taken by itself, one teaspoon in half a glass of water on an empty stomach. That's very important. And do not eat 20 minutes, half an hour after you take it. So it has time to repair the intestinal lining. That's what it does. It repairs the lining of the whole digestive system, and it's very useful in repairing leaky gut syndrome, all the damage which the gluten does.
Yeah, this has been one of the best things for my wife. She's really liked the L-glutamine.
Yeah, and if somebody wants to do an intensive repair, it can be taken up to 9 times a day, 1 teaspoon with the water, of course, in between eating, and for a week. And it really helps repair a lot faster. So I did that myself because even though I don't have fibromyalgia, I was suffering with leaky gut syndrome, and it really helped. So I can tell you from my own experience.
Terrific. Now, what are some of the other things that you recommend?
Okay. Of course, omega-3s, preferably from the diet, If not, they can be supplemented either for vegetarians or non-vegetarians. And probiotics, because whenever the intestinal lining is damaged, also the flora in the intestines, it's wiped out or diminished greatly. So some of the
which omega-3 and probiotic do you recommend? By the way, is this again a Vitamin Shop thing for L-glutamine?
No, it can be, the store brand. That's fine too.
So the Vitamin Shop brand's fine.
Yeah.
And what about for the omega-3s? Still Vitamin Shop is fine?
Well, the omega-3s, I'd rather have them from diet.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they can be from flax seeds. You can grind them and have them fresh. That's a pretty good source also for vegetarians. So, but there are many foods which have that, so it's easier through diet. The probiotics, there are two specific strands, the acidophilus, which everybody knows of, and the rhamnosus, is RHAMNOSUS. MN. That's it, N. That's it. Those are two strands which actually help in diminishing any kind of bacterial overgrowth and increasing immunity, because the intestinal flora helps the immunity. For somebody with fibromyalgia, immunity is very low because the energy is very low at the cellular level. The mitochondria cannot create enough energy, and so it's like a cascading effect. So a lot to rectify this. Myself, I buy a brand called I think it's Garden of Life, and they have the raw with a delta sign. Trademark, but you can get whatever brand you like.
Okay, got it. All right.
They have about 33 strands, and it's refrigerated, so they're actually alive, because a lot of the dry ones are not keeping everything, all the probiotics, they're not alive, so I'd rather get the one in the refrigeration. So, and you keep it at home refrigerated.
Got it. How often should we take those?
Well, every day.
Okay, great.
At least once a day, like maybe in the evening, or if you can, twice a day, but minimum once a day.
Got it.
The other very important thing, to nourish the nervous system, because that's the one most affected in fibromyalgia.
Okay.
And for that, and also there is a substance which helps support energy at the cellular level, because again, as I said, it's not created enough. That substance is called D-ribose or ribose, depends how you want to pronounce it. Okay. And that is an SE. That's it. That is, and they found in scientific studies that this is helping fibromyalgia patients with their energy level. So I gave it to my daughter, and it has helped her, and I recommended it to other people, and it works well. So it's a choice you can have.
Is it, again, Vitamin Shop brand?
I don't think they have their own brand. I got a different brand, but whatever it's available in your area.
Okay, great.
Now, the nervous system support, the supplements, which are very, very important. I cannot stress enough how important they are for fibromyalgia, because it helps, the main issues. There are a few of the vitamin Bs, but they have to be in specific form. We start with B12, which is the most sensitive, and it has to be in the methyl form. It's
Yep.
methyl, and then cobalamin, which is the rest of the word.
How do I spell that?
Yeah, most multivitamins provide the.
How do I spell that?
Cobalamin.
Great.
Cobalamin. Okay. So the methyl form is the one which is needed because that's the only one which is actually processed properly by the body, and it can be sublingual or injections. Injections are very effective, but they're expensive and they're painful. Sublingual form, I prefer a company which is called Cal, and they make the 1,000 microgram sublingual tablet. It's a really small tablet, and we need 200 micrograms a day. So you can take twice a day the 1,000 micrograms. So we need 2,000 per day.
And sublingual means under your
sublingual has to be
under your tongue. Yeah.
Under your tongue in a clean mouth. So you're not eating or drinking at the time. You wait about 10 minutes after it melts. Then you can continue with whatever else you want to do. This goes straight in the blood, being absorbed, melted under your tongue. So, and it works the best. Now, the other B vitamins are B1, which is in the form of benfotiamine,
BE, yep.
and FOTIAMINE. Okay, and we need about 300 milligrams of that, of B1. B2, which is riboflavin. You don't need to spell that because that's the form it comes in. It's not a choice there. 4 milligrams. B6, 4 milligrams. And B9 or folate. Most people don't know it's also called B9. It's folate, but not folic acid, because usually it's found as a form of folic acid, which is the synthetic form, which is not really good. And folate needs to be 400 micrograms. And it can be taken, this is minimum. It can be taken more than that, but 400 micrograms is minimum. And vitamin D3, between 1,000 and 5,000 units. Now, depending on what your blood work results are. Most people are deficient with fibromyalgia, so you have to, if you don't stay in the sun to get more vitamin D, it's good to take maybe 2,000 units for a while, or 1,000 units is minimum.
And what kind of units are those? Milligrams?
D3 comes in units, not in micrograms. They're
Okay,
called IU units, international units. So, and I prefer the liquid form. It comes in a bottle with a dropper, and they do have Vitamin Shop, have their own brand, which works fine. And I choose the 2,000 units for, both myself and my daughter, but there is a choice. And the last thing, which is the most important, apart from the B12, it's the alpha lipoic acid, the R form. It's R for Richard, dash ALA, which stands for alpha, ALPHA, lipoic, LIPOIC, acid. And this is needed specifically for nervous system regeneration. It's also used for neuropathy. And 400 to 500 milligrams a day, of course, separating in 2 doses. So like 200 to 250 times 2 per day. These are very important for the nervous system regeneration, which plays a major role in fibromyalgia. So it needs to be nourished and helped to improve.
Got it. Okay. So is this it for the nervous system?
Yes.
What about pain?
And the one other supplement which is good for connective tissue and tendon regeneration, it's vitamin C with bioflavonoids, and specifically hesperidin, which is one of the bioflavonoids. It comes together in one pill, so it's easier to take that way. And it needs to be, with BIO, flavonoids, FLAVONOI. Okay. And 500 milligrams twice a day. That's, very useful. That's minimum. You can go higher, but if you take too much vitamin C right away, it can give you loose bowels, so you don't want to do that.
Okay, great. All right, what about supplements for pain?
Okay. Well, there are several supplements which can be taken for pain. They're that magnesium citrate, which you can take at night also for the sleep, and also some homeopathic remedies which help with pain.
Like what?
The muscle pain, it's helped by the remedy called arnica. The homeopathic remedies are small pellets, like little, to use sublingual. So you put them under your tongue, and usually you take 2 at a time. That's a dose. And you can take twice a day, for example.
And what's this called?
Arnica, like the plant. ARNICA. Arnica. It's for, muscle pain, and it helps. Again, like anything sublingual, you have to have a clean mouth, wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes after it dissolves, and then continue with whatever else you want to do. And another one which is good for tendon pain and small joint pain. It's called Rhus-Tox, R-H-U-S. It's also a homeopathic remedy. TOX, 2 words. It's the Latin name, which is a lot longer, but this is the short form of it, and they would know at the store. It comes in a little blue tube. All the homeopathics come like that, and they have those sugar pellets which dissolve under your tongue. So it's the same thing. Sublingual, 2 at a time, twice a day. And you can do this like for 2 weeks at a time, the homeopathic remedies, or you can just take it when you're in pain. But don't take more than 4 times in 24 hours. That's maximum. And the concentration, they have a potency, which is the standard, it's 30 and the letter C for both of them. That's the standard. 30, capital C, that's it.
Okay, great.
It's Rhus-Tox, T-O-X, like.
Oh, I put phosphate tox, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Got
okay.
it. All right, so is this it for supplements, or are there any other supplements that you recommend?
Well, for the support of the thyroid, it's good to have Celtic sea salt instead of other type of salt, because they actually have iodine and minerals and all that. And of course, if somebody goes to a naturopathic doctor or a doctor who's, more of a complementary medicine doctor, they would run some tests. They'll know if they have, need for anything else for the thyroid or adrenal support, obviously.
Great. All right, so let's get into, oh, go ahead.
Okay. There are 2 things which help with adrenal fatigue, and there are 2 supplements, and this is the last of supplements.
Okay, what are they?
There are 2 plant extracts. They come in capsule form. One is called rhodiola with RH. Yeah, rhodiola. That's right. And the other one is ashwagandha. ASHWAGandha. Okay, ashwagandha has been used in Ayurvedic medicine in India for thousands of years. Rhodiola is being used by Russian athletes with very good results, as it helps endurance. So they both help with fatigue. And they come in capsules, so you can take 1 in the morning, and usually it's pretty good through the day. Some people might need twice a day, like a boost in the afternoon. Depends on personal needs. They do have a brand at the vitamin shop, which is free of GMOs and additives, which I prefer. It's a new line. It's called PLNT, Plant Without the A. And they both come in that brand.
Was there some sort of a ginger root extract also?
Yes, ginger also helps, and it can be, I actually want to add it to the pain as we pass that. both ginger and it comes in that PLNT brand too, and all taken together with curcumin, CURCUMIN, which is the extract from turmeric plant. So the curcumin, it's much stronger. So the my favorite brand is the one which is called Super Bio Curcumin in the Life Extension brand, because it's 7 times more effective. It absorbs 7 times better than the regular one. So it costs a few dollars more, but it's really worth it because you take less.
Got it. Okay, great. All right, so this wraps up Yep, go ahead.
This is it with the supplements.
Okay, great. So this will wrap up the supplements, and we'll stop this video and we'll move on to diet. All right, let's start by talking about diet. So with diet, it's going to be a bit of testing, and of course, this can be stressful because if you or your loved one are anything like my wife, you may have favorites. You may really like certain sweets. You may like, you really may be a little bit addicted to bread, and we understand that. But again, maybe even reducing or replacing a little bit some stuff can make a big difference. And with diet, a lot of what you're doing is testing. Is that correct?
Well, you have to test for food sensitivities, as we talked earlier, and determine which are your problem areas. So if you're sensitive to dairy, of course, you're going to try and avoid it. If you're sensitive to soy or eggs or the nightshades, you have to test and find out, and then if they are a problem for you, eliminate them. But most people with fibromyalgia have gluten sensitivity, which is like more than 60% of people, it was found out in some studies that they suffer with gluten sensitivity, and that is the main issue. So I did try all sort of brands of gluten-free bread, and I found out that the one which tastes like the regular bread, it's under the brand UDIs, and it's really accessible. I mean, ShopRite has it in the freezer department. Costco carries it too. I don't know, in other parts of the country what stores carry what. This is on the East Coast I'm talking about. But it's really very tasty. They have a few other brands. I wouldn't advise to get the brown rice one because it's not tasting too well. It's not so good. This has a mix of ancient grains which are allowed in gluten-free diet, which are amaranth and quinoa, and they also have some tapioca flour and things like that. People can also have bread made for them, or they can order online nowadays. So amaranth and quinoa are 2 grains used from antiquity, and quinoa A. Add an A to the quinoa. It pronounces quinoa, but it's written quinoa. And they're very healthy, actually. They can be prepared sometimes like couscous is done. So you can make a salad. You can have them as accompanying main dishes. chicken or fish or, any other. So they're very versatile and they taste pretty good. So sometimes you can mix quinoa with brown rice, which in itself it's fine to eat, except the bread from brown rice flour is not the best because it doesn't have other grains, so the taste it's a little bland. But brown rice in itself, it's nourishing and it's, it can be substituted in a gluten-free diet. So a lot of people eat that. So this would be, and some people are sensitive to corn. So again, you have to test it, like with the nightshades and everything else. But they have a whole department. They have a whole aisle with gluten-free now in most supermarkets. They have the red mill flours for people who want to bake themselves. My daughter actually learned how to cook gluten-free and dairy-free, and she buys these flours and she makes wonderful food with them. You find semi-prepared, mixtures for pancakes or waffles or different other things. And again, you can make dessert, you can make cakes with this, you can bake with these flours. They're wonderful. They really taste great. So almond flour, it's one of them, which is used in baking cakes, gluten-free. So you mix tapioca flour and almond flour, and some of them come already mixed. Like Red Mill has a whole variety of gluten-free flours, ready mixed or separate. So it's a good choice and very easy, to do for people who want to do that.
All right, great. What about sweets?
Well, you can find gluten-free sweets. In that whole aisle, they have chocolate cookies, gluten-free. They have, and chocolate in itself is gluten-free, by the way, so you can eat that. And cocoa, which is very nice to have. But you can find a lot of sweets nowadays which are gluten-free. Even some bakeries make gluten-free bread and gluten-free desserts, cookies, and cakes. So, they're a lot more available than they used to be some years ago.
Right. And with glutens, can you somewhat just back off of them and not completely cut them out and still possibly get some good results?
Yes, yeah. I mean, you have to eliminate the gluten, but it's not so hard because you have the other choices.
Okay, so you're really an advocate of really eliminating it.
Well, because if you still eat it, it's still going to damage your intestinal lining. Is going to continue to create, and when it does that, it creates inflammation. Your immune system responds by creating inflammation, and you create it in your whole body, not just related to the digestive tract. So it's like a foreign body is like an invader. When it goes through the intestinal wall, goes into the bloodstream, it shouldn't be there. So food particles go through these holes, and the body sees them as a foreign body, and the immune system reacts. So you're creating full body reaction, inflammation, which means pain. So you're aggravating the pain by eating the gluten.
Got it.
So that's, yeah.
Okay, so you're strongly against gluten. Okay, well, this has been great, and of course you can continue to eat meats as regular.
Okay. proteins, and you can eat a lot of vegetables and fruits and other things. I mean, and you can have rice. A lot of cultures are eating rice as it is. So it's not too hard if you start small and give it a try. Give that bread a try. I love it. I toast it. That's the best way to eat it. Toast it, and you can have it with anything. So
great.
And then the quinoa, it's great. Some people use also oatmeal. There is a warning with oatmeal. It doesn't have gluten, but in many instances is processed into at facilities which process gluten products. So they might be contaminated, and for people who are sensitive, this is a big issue. Even for regular people, might not seem a problem because you think, oh, just touched something. But cross-contamination, it's a problem. Mm-hmm. So again, when you buy things, don't mix breads together. My husband did that once. My daughter couldn't eat the bread because it was putting together with the regular bread. So just be mindful of that. Cross-contamination is an issue.
And now, from my research, some people are really much more susceptible to glutens than others. There's a kind of a small percentage where it's really, really, really rough for them. And then others, like you said, it's around 60% of fibro sufferers really are having these gluten issues, but it's not 100%.
Well, they might not know they have this issue. Like, I found out I'm gluten sensitive only after my daughter was tested for it, and sometimes it can be transferred in the DNA. Mm-hmm. So the doctor said, well, why don't we test you just to find out? And lo and behold, I was gluten sensitive. I didn't know. I thought my, symptoms were from something else because it can be misdiagnosed, as I said. IBS or, colitis or all sort of other digestive issues. So you don't know you have it. And it might not be so drastic. It might be milder set of symptoms.
Yeah,
so,
and that's kind of my point, because I think that certainly some people are going to run into this, and they're going to possibly draw the line and say, I'm basically going to eat some amount of bread. Do you think that they're still going to be possibly reasonably fine? Again, this is just sort of more reality based. And of course, theoretically, we'd love to just snap our finger and have somebody have a psychological change.
It's a gradual process. Like for me, it was gradual. I couldn't give up. I love my breads and my cakes. so
as you went down, as you see people taper off.
So you can taper off. Of course, it's going to take longer if you do it that way.
Right, but it's still reasonably effective.
Well, it still helps because you're going to have less inflammation, less times when when you're not eating it, you're not creating inflammation. So you'll have less instances when that inflammation is going to give you pain. So you are going to get better, but at a slower pace.
Got it. Great.
So it takes some adjusting to do, and it took me a while till I found the right products, which I really liked and enjoyed and didn't feel like I was deprived. Although I don't have fibromyalgia, but you can have this nonetheless. My daughter has much stronger symptoms, so for her, even slight cross-contamination, it's a problem. She really gets...
Because your daughter strikes me as one of the people who, I guess I believe it's around 1% of people have a really quite a dire version of gluten allergies, where it's just so it really messes them up. And then there can be people with kind of a milder version of that.
Yes, I mean this progresses. So with her, it's progressed, faster,
Yeah,
I
very
guess.
quickly. She was very young when this started.
Yes, and unfortunately, it can, progress to celiac disease, and also it's related to Crohn's disease and then lupus. So the doctor who was doing our tests, he told me, you want to have, because I asked him, I love my breads and my cakes. Can I have a little bit? Can I, can I go halfway? And he said, well, it's up to you. It evolves and it gets worse. And he had patients who developed Crohn's disease and lupus. So
now, did they develop Crohn's disease and lupus after tapering things off, or did they just continue?
Because they either didn't know, or it was, they found out late, so they got to that stage already.
So certainly the point is, of course, in a perfect world, you snap your fingers and the bread goes away.
Yeah.
But if you can't, certainly try to taper and do your best.
Yeah, that's, the best advice.
Okay, great. Okay, well, this is a wonderful fast start, and I really appreciate it, Serena. I know that going through more examples and getting more details from you is going to help people wonderfully. This is just a beginning. There's much, much more, many other treatments that Serena is going to be able to open your eyes to that can help. They're a little bit, in some cases a little bit more expensive, a little bit rarer, a little harder to come across, but she's going to open up her whole vault of information to you. But this was a wonderful fast start guide. Thank you so much, Serena.
Mike, I want to add one more thing for
Please
people
do.
who have anxiety issues, because that's a common issue. There is a wonderful remedy created by Dr. Bach, who was a British physician, and it's called Rescue Remedy. It comes either in a spray or in lozenges. I like the spray because it's quick, but it has alcohol, so people who don't want that can have the lozenges. And again, you can find it Vitamin Shop or any other supplement store. So it's called Bach Rescue Remedy.
BACH?
Yes.
Great, and that's for anxiety. And that's taken as needed?
Very good for anxiety.
Taken as needed?
Yes.
Okay, great.
It sprays like a few spray under the tongue. It has instructions on the bottle, so.
Okay, great. All right.
Easy to carry.
Well, thank you very much for this fast start guide, and Serena, again, thank you so much for all your help with things.
Thank you.